office if you need one, but you have to run down there and grab it.
Yeah, and I think I have some HDMI cords in my office as well in a blue bag, but the challenge is I think you need a long one, right?
Yeah. Well, it's also this HDMI cord that connects to this the screen is coming from
Yeah,
the network.
yeah,
Not
that's
a
a little bit
separate-
different.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess whoever's in the room, maybe if they at least connect to the Zoom so we can see them. Anybody have computers in there that could connect?
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, so
And because we can't see the room, I think in order to start the meeting, we need to see who's in the room.
yeah.
Oh,
If Andy,
That is gone.
I have joined. I'm showing.
I'm working on it.
So if you join the Zoom link, then she'll let you in as a panelist.
so Diana's not logged in yet.
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay, so she called in too. All right, very good.
Yeah,
Oh, I see Andy.
I've tried promoting Diana to a panelist 3 times now and it won't.
Okay,
There we
she
go.
is.
Now she's on.
There she is.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Diana.
Bob,
Hello,
Nobody-
Dan.
Hello. How are you?
Mute yours
This is Billy.
on the computer.
Technical difficulties in the library.
Walter Briskin.
Oh, he's VOBA.
He's VLBA.
Everybody is on. So I will call, oh, shucks, wait, hold on. I will call the meeting to order. It is 5:05 p.m. And for those attending via Zoom, raise your hand if you have other individuals sitting in with you. I want to clarify that Greg Chun, Andy, Adamson, let's see who else is sitting in the library together.
That's correct.
We're having technical difficulties with the visual from the library, so they are hooking up via Zoom. So getting back to my comment, I see no one raise their hand. So for the record, all board attendees are connecting with Zoom, are in the room by themselves.
That is correct.
Thank you. And we did not receive any written testimony or request for oral testimony. So I am going to move on to approval of the minutes of the July 1st meeting. Are there any changes or corrections that need to be made to the minutes that were circulated?
I'll move to approve the minutes of July 1st.
Second,
Thank you, Greg, for moving, and thank you, Billy, for second. All in favor of approving the minutes as circulated, raise your hand or say aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous approval. And we'll move on to Kahuku report.
So Kahuku actually is going to be meeting this Thursday, and we'll be reviewing a couple of reports. One of the things that we'll be reviewing is the matter that Justin is online here to update all of us on. I think the main thing, I would report from Kahukumana at this time is, well, Nahua, do you wanna describe the unusual offering we had at the Ahu and the guidance you received from Kahukumana?
Sure. So we monitor as part of the rangers' duties, they monitor all of the trash that is found at all of the Ahus. Recently at the Viz Ahu, there was a big stick, and we thought it was supposed to be part of the Ahu itself. So I inquired with Shane, well, Leilani, who's said that she's one of the ladies that comes up to help take care of the Ahu. I gave her a call, but I didn't get any response. So then I reached out to Kahukumona chair, Shane, and he said just to leave the stick there. So we just left, it's kind of actually more of a log. We just left it there. This past week, it was, I think it's the anniversary of the Day of Sovereignty, I think it is. And so we had a large group of cultural practitioners came up and they ended up removing the log. And so I'm not sure where they took it, but they said that was inappropriate. They felt that it was inappropriate placed, so that was removed.
So one of the things that thank you, Noah. One of the things that we've been noticing is as more and more practitioners come up, especially on special occasions, which is a good thing. We're more and more encountering some of these kinds of offerings, and different, I guess, groups have different protocols and different practices. So, you know, one of the challenges with managing these very special cultural resources is that, you know, it's not always clear exactly sort of which practice is most appropriate for a particular site or location. So, you know, we're kind of learning as we go along, and as you heard from the Hua's report, you know, Kahukumana or Shane had one view of whether that was an appropriate offering, and the practitioners who were there that day had a different view. So this is kind of par for the course. This is what we are having to address on an ongoing basis. But, you know, it's not for us to determine that, or to say that one is allowed and one shouldn't be. You know, we're trying to accommodate everybody's practice. The other thing that we're working on with Kahukumana, we need to review it with them first, is we have developed some new language for the signage at the going up to the summit. We have encountered, as you know, we developed and posted some new signage educating people about the sacredness of the summit and the Ahu, and discouraging people from going there. However, as Kaleo said, our language was too much aloha in the language, and so we actually encouraged more people to go up than discouraged people from going up. So we are reviewing the language. We're going to be going over it with that. Going over that with Kahukumana on Thursday, and once they bless it, we'll bring it back to you folks for your information as well. But you know, we are trying to ensure that that summit Ahu is used appropriately by practitioners, and you know, unfortunately, we had a lot of visitors who go up there who have different intentions or different purposes. So those would be the two items I have for Kahukumana, Chair.
Okay, then you can move into your executive director's report.
Okay, great. So I have a number of items to update the group on. You have materials, and I listed on the agenda some of the items I will be covering. I just made a quick little PowerPoint that I want to use to kind of help me walk through the items. But I do want to point out before I start, we do have Justin Ye online today. He'll be covering our invasive species report, our annual survey report that was recently completed. And then we also have Walter Briskin online from VLBA. He is the director of VLBA, and he's here to answer any questions about the VLBA project that we sent you the materials on. But the first item I'd like to cover in my report is where we are with MKSOA in discussions about cost sharing. I think I've shown this to you folks before. Hey, can you folks see my screen? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I think I've shown this to you folks before. This is a slide that Rodrigo developed initially to help explain to legislators who are interested in how the funding works at CMS and kind of as a backdrop for the financial plan that MKSOA has to develop. And then as we've shared this with more people, it's just become obvious. It's been a nice little helpful tool to help explain things. The gist of it is, this is the current or fiscal year 25 sources of funding that come into CMS, and then how our Maunakea shared services are funded through the MKOs and other sources. So as you know, because of the situation with the federal government and proposed cutbacks there, as well as just the general impacts that are undetermined yet, for the MKOs and for UH, we are dealing in a situation where there's a lot of unknowns regarding the CMS funding. So as we've been working through this with MKSOA, in the spirit of joint management, I think where we've landed, where Executive Director DeFries and I have landed, is on the notion of looking at UH's contribution to operating costs at CMS and matching that by MKSOA matching that. Obviously, that would help a lot given the uncertain environment that we're working in. And that's something that Executive Director DeFries believes that he can articulate and advocate for with his board. So we don't have anything on paper yet. It's just a concept. He needs to socialize the idea with his board. But that's the concept that we've focused on or arrived at. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 to $2 million is what he's thinking their contribution to CMS would be. Obviously, that would help a lot given this uncertain environment, as I've indicated. So that's where we're at with this particular item. I did want to just make sure you folks know that we are in active discussions with advancing the discussion with MKSOA about cost sharing. Before I go on to some of my other items, let me stop there and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, just one. What is that odd one, that 800,000 arrow?
Oh, as you know, you folks approved us moving forward with increasing the commercial tour operator fees. The Board of Regents is actually taking that matter up this Thursday. I'll speak to that in a little bit. But our projections are on an annual basis, our gross revenues would increase from 240,000 to 800,000 based on current visitor numbers that they're bringing up.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. The next series of items was just to update you on the host of site visits and meetings that are, have been happening and are, in the hopper for the next several weeks. Last week, we hosted, DLNR leadership, for an overnight site visit. This was on the 29th and 30th. As you know, on the 29th, Tuesday, the 29th, that was the day of the tsunami warning. So that kind of threw things off a little bit. But we had 11 members of the DLNR leadership team and the Office of Conservation and Coastal Lands with us. It included Land Board Chair Don Chang and the Deputy Director Ryan Kanakaole, who also sits on the MK SOA board. We had a whole evening and then the next morning of activities planned. Don and Ryan were not able to go to the summit on Tuesday evening with the rest of the group. They had to stay back and we set them up in an office so that they could participate in the governor's cabinet meetings, emergency cabinet meetings that he was holding on an hourly basis because of the tsunami alert. However, the rest of the group did go up and we were hosted by Canada France Hawaii Telescope Director John Gabriel Hubie and IFA Director Doug Simons. They had a great sunset tour and visit to the observatory. For many of them, if not all of them, they'd never been to the summit or certainly not been in an observatory. So it was a good opportunity for them to see and get a feel for how astronomy actually looks and works on a very tactical basis. The next morning, we had about an hour and a half briefing with them. And we provided or some of our managers provided a snapshot summary of their activities. Particularly, Justin gave a report on our resource management program, Kaleo on our education and outreach program, and Dwayne Waipa on our ranger programs. And then MK SOA staff, Bill Stormont, Lloyd Unabasami, and Chris Daggett, along with myself, provided an update on the transition, overall transition. So that proved to be very, very helpful. Don really appreciated the time and the effort we made to get them caught up with everything. Before they left, they also had a chance to go down to the greenhouse and then down to the viz. I think the site visit achieved a couple of desired outcomes. I think one is that it captured the comprehensive and integrated nature of our operations. And I think that was important for the land board to see because of, if you recall, they actually approved the comprehensive management plan. And that is basically the Bible that we operate by. The second thing is that I think it provided OCCL and Land Division staff members in particular a firsthand view of the overall landscape of our managed lands. As I said, many of them had not been to the summit before. And a firsthand view of some of the specific sites that we have projects that we've asked them to review that they've been having some challenges, particularly Land Division in reviewing those projects. Having them see our managed lands directly provided a context for them to understand what we're describing in our project proposals so they have a better idea of what the actual impact may or may not be. So I think we achieved that. It did lead to Land Division approving a couple of projects that have been in the hopper that we've been waiting on since October, actually. The third thing that I think it achieved is just a general update to Don Chang and OCCL Administrator Michael Kane on where MK SOA is at in the process of the transition. I know that they were particularly interested in what is being considered by MK SOA in the way of proposed legislation for the next session. as well as the whole chapter 183C, the conservation district jurisdictional issues that still need to be addressed. And then, of course, lastly, it provided their staff and our staff who deal with each other via electronically, via email, via phone all the time, just a chance to meet each other in person and reinforce those working relationships. So I do think it was a successful and very valuable time spent with them. Bill, I know you were there. Nahua, you were there. Joy, you were there for part of it. I mean, Justin, do you guys want to add anything about the site visit? Any major takeaways for you?
Well, I'll add, Greg, thank you. Just that there was one other takeaway was that it's clear that we need to do a better job at NPSOA of keeping the chair's office informed of some of those things that are going on and where we are in the progress of that. So that was one of my, in addition to what you shared, I concur with all of that clearly, but also we need to do a better job of ensuring that the chair's office is aware of where we are in the transition from our side and what our needs are legislatively and so forth. And Michael made a point of ensuring that we reach out to him and his office when we are, if and when we are going to be looking at legislation and what it's going to look like. So
I'm glad you brought that up because that was something that, it seemed like they were in the dark about a lot of things. And so that was, I think that was important. Okay, anybody else want to make a comment? If not, I'll move on. All right, next item is this Thursday, the Board of Regents Committee on Institutional Success is holding their monthly meeting. And there's several CMS items agendized for that meeting. One item is we are using that meeting as an opportunity to do our annual report, CMS's annual report to the regents on CMS operations and accomplishments. Resolution 1903 requires us to do an annual report for the regents. So our last annual report was last July. The second thing is they've also asked MKSOA to attend and provide an update on their progress on the transition and where they are with their transition activities, the various activities that they have to complete. And then the third item is the ISC will be taking up our commercial tour operator fee increase request. As you may recall, when we brought that to MKMB, we did clarify that because it's a fee increase, it's something that the regents actually have to approve. So that item is on the agenda. ISC will not approve it directly. They will make a recommendation to the full board for approval. And then the full board will meet on the 21st, in which they'll take up the approval itself. So that's in the hopper. We're getting ready. We finalized the presentation materials for this for Thursday's report, and I'll send you folks the link to the materials and the agenda. It starts at 8:30, and folks are welcome to tune in if you are so inclined. Next week on the 11th and 12th, there's a group of House members who are being organized by Vice Speaker Linda Ichiyama. They're coming up to do an overnight, 2 days and an overnight with us. This is a follow-up from the July 2nd meeting that MKSOA held with a subgroup of these members who are coming up that Nahua and I were invited to attend. I think a general goal is to provide House members a firsthand look at what stewardship and management looks like. I know that they have various ones have different interests. Bill is organizing it. Bill, you want to say anything about what we hope to achieve with the group?
Yeah, thank you, Greg. I was just going to pull up the itinerary, which kind of clearly states what the goals are, and these were iterated by Representative Ichiyama, and she and I have worked together on site visits and previous work I had done with DLNR, and quite successful overnight trips here on Hawaii Island and one on Maui, a week after the fires, as a matter of fact, and they still came. Very quickly, the site goal: gain a full understanding of the current UHH Center for Maunakea Stewardship day-to-day operations on the Maunakea lands and stewardship activities and so forth. Gain further knowledge of and appreciation for the natural and cultural resources of Mauna Kea. Understand future planned organizational structure of the MKSOA and how we're working together with CMS through the transition period, through the Joint Management Committee. And then to understand the extent and content of the future funding requests beyond the current recurring operating funds that MKSOA has. So those are what we came away in our early planning with the goals of the visit. And we've got 12 members coming, including the Vice Speaker, Chair of the Water and Land Committee in the House, Mark Hashem, Vice Chair Lamosau, Chair of Higher Ed in the House, Andrew Garrett, a handful of Hawaii Island representatives joining us as well. So there was a specific request. Representative Ichiyama wants to go to the lake, so I got to take her to the lake on Tuesday morning. And others wanted to see machine shops and workshops. And so we've devised a site visit that will afford folks an opportunity to see that. The Gemini Observatory has been very, thank you, Andy, and his crew, Andrew. They're willing to host a group on Tuesday morning to see their machine shop, the mirror coating lab, the telescope itself, obviously. So we've got a few things planned for that visit. But I think it's going to be another opportunity to further ensure that there's a clear understanding of how well we are working together between MPSOA and CMS towards this transition.
So we're looking forward to that, and I know that they will be spending some time here at IFA Hilo as well, looking at Hilo IFA's machine shops and some of getting grounded in some of the instrumentation work, the innovative instrumentation work that Doug Simons and his people are doing here at IFA Hilo. So good stuff. Any questions about that? Otherwise, I'll move on. Okay, as I said, 21st, the regents will be taking up for the actual approval our CTO fee increase. So we're looking forward to that. And then the last thing is August 26th, Ways and Means Committee from the Senate is doing their Big Island tour. They're going to be on island for a number of days, both the west and east sides. They're visiting and meeting with the numerous groups and individuals and places. They have requested an update from both UH as well as from MKSOA on these 4 items. These are the items that they've requested an update on. And they provided, this request was to both Wendy, President Hensel, and Bonnie, Chancellor Irwin, along with MKSOA Executive Director. Actually, the invitation went to Don Chang and also to John DeFries. So interestingly, the items that they are interested in being updated on really are central to the work that MKSOA has to do and is working on. So we have a joint management committee meeting tomorrow where we're going to try to make sure our messages and our presentations are coordinated. In general, what I have been doing when people have asked UH or me about the progress of on the transition. I have focused on what UH has been doing to support that process. And I think we'll probably do the same here. But most of these items, I think would be better spoken to directly by MKSOA themselves. But I just wanted you folks to know that one, because I know Ways and Means is usually whenever they're around, they get a lot of attention. And rightly so. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, hearing none. I have two projects that I've included in my director's report, because these are just for information only. We're not asking MKSOA for any, MKMB for any formal action. But we do want your input if you want us to include additional considerations in these two projects. So the first project is a Gemini project. And I pulled this photo out of the materials that you received. It's a ladder replacement project that's for safety purposes. In our classification system, we have classified this as a type A project, which is the lowest classification there is, which means it doesn't require, it's our belief, it doesn't require DLNR or OCCL approval per se, just their occurrence. There's no permit that they need to issue. We have Andy here from Gemini who can speak to the need for this. I think it's pretty straightforward. As I said, you have the materials. But we did want to make sure MKMB has an opportunity to at least provide us input on the project if needed. We'll be taking this to MKSOA as well. So Andy, I don't know if you want to say anything about the project. It's pretty straightforward.
Kind of is straightforward. Everything you've written there is basically what it is.
Great.
We have this ladder. We'd like to replace it with it's both newer but also fixed to the wall, and with something of a safety sort of cage at the top.
Right.
So that's the idea.
And the ladder is used for what right now?
So you see the door on the right in this picture, that's our storage area. And we use the ladder just to get down to it because.
Okay. And Joy, did you want to add anything?
Just that we had mentioned this project to DLNR during last week's site visit, and the OCCL administrator had said that they did not need to review this project. But we are presenting it because this had already been posted to the agenda.
So we don't even need their formal concurrence then?
Correct, not a concurrence, nothing.
Okay. That's great news. That's one of the outcomes, I think, of having the opportunity to sit with the DLNR folks directly. So MKMB members, do you have any input you would like us to integrate into this project to make sure that Gemini complies with? I know it's pretty straightforward. Okay, hearing none, thank you. We will move forward. The next project is a VLBA project, and we have Walter Briskin here with us to answer any questions. Again, this is noted or classified as a type A project in our classification system. This is a weather station instrument upgrade. So we're presenting it again only for information only. Essentially, it's a replacing a piece of equipment with a light piece of equipment. Walter, would you like to say anything about the project?
Sure, I can say a few words. The antenna we have on Mauna Kea is one of 10 identical systems that we have across the country. We try to keep them all in lockstep in terms of technical capability and status. So Mauna Kea will be the last of the 10 antennas to be upgraded. All the other 9 have already been completed. And it is a like-for-like replacement of 30-year-old equipment. Basically, it'll do 2 things for us. One is modernize the computer interfaces, so we don't have to rely on systems that aren't supported anymore. And second, we'll be able to use more modern sensors that you can actually buy replacements for. So we've been having trouble, keeping up with the replacements year on year. So this is very much a necessity for our ongoing maintenance. One last thing to note, we share the data that we get from this with anyone else on the mountain that wants it. And I know some observatories use it to assess road safety. It's the only sensor we have at that portion of the mountain. So it's a good place to get some unique readings. And also the Maunakea Weather Center makes use of the data for their as input to their weather modeling activities.
Great, thank you, Walter. Any questions for me or Walter or Joy? Do you want to say anything? No? Okay. Any other considerations you want us to integrate into the proposal? If not, appreciate your time, Walter, and Andy, and explanation. I do want to say one thing. I know these two projects in particular they're type A projects. They're minor projects. So you all might be wondering, why are we having Walter and Andy speak to them? Moving forward under MKSOA, the permits for these facilities are going to be held by the facilities themselves. Okay. Right now, UH holds those permits. So that's why we bring these projects forward to you folks and process them through the process with DLNR. In the future, the facilities will be doing that themselves. And so what Nahua and I have decided to do is that when we bring these projects forward, we want to start to introduce the observatory directors and the observatory staff. You've met a few from EVLBA on earlier projects into the process so that they can begin getting familiar with how these reviews work. Now MKSO is going to have their own review process and it'll look and feel differently, but this is all part of preparing for the transition. It's all part of laying the groundwork for the transition. And it's something that I've talked to the directors about. So I know these projects seem pretty low impact, and they are. But our purpose in bringing the folks from the observatories into these discussions is to begin to familiarize them with how the process works. Okay, any other questions on this? I got one other item that I wanted to update folks on. Yeah.
A question to maybe you and Joy. How many data points do you now have of the type of project that OCCL is interested in looking at?
You mean their land division?
Yeah.
We have 3 or 4 that are sitting on their desk. They just approved 2 of them.
Is that what you're asking, or how many categories of permits are there?
No, I know the categories. I'm interested in, for example, our ladder project was decided not to need to go to OCCL, but do we have a deal for the future?
Not clear, but I think this visit helped. I'm not going to promise you guys anything, but I think more of these kinds of projects are probably going to be of less interest to them. Certainly anything that requires a site plan approval or an actual conservation district use permit is probably going to be of interest. And land division is going to want to take a look at them. But I think these type A projects are where we probably have more flexibility. And we have, I'll admit, we have tended to be very, very conservative when we classify something as a type A. We tend to classify things more as type Bs if there's any kind of question of where it might fall. Okay, one other item I have, and I don't have a slide for it, but couple of weeks ago, several weeks ago, we received an email that came into our general email. And initially, it looked like it was maybe supposed to be testimony to an MKMB meeting, but it turned out not to be. It was an email invitation that came from a firm called Helbert, Hastert and Fee. They're a planning firm here in Hawaii. They do environmental studies and landscape studies and et cetera. It was addressed to Roberta, and it came on from Helbert, Hastert and Fee, but on behalf of the Military and Community Relations Office. Roberta asked the Hua and I to follow up and meet with HHF to learn more about their effort. HHF is supporting the State of Hawaii Office of Planning and Sustainable Development in reaching out to various stakeholders to identify projects that mutually benefit community and military installations. This effort will conclude with the preparation of action plans for potential projects or efforts that can be undertaken or to expand current projects. So we met with HHF, and the meeting was basically a request by them to do some brainstorming. On what for ways specifically that PTA and the future of that facility could collaborate with the county and neighboring landowners on issues and needs that could benefit PTA and the community. So some of the ideas we shared included continued or expanded emergency services along DKI highway that they currently already provide through a memorandum of agreement with the county. As you folks know, we rely on PTA a lot to help us and our rangers when there are emergencies on our lands. So we talked a lot about some ideas on how those services could be expanded. We also talked about establishing an ongoing working partnership between PTA and CMS resource management programs. They have a fairly extensive resource management program there, but they have different resources than we do. And there's a lot of interest in some initial dialogue that we've had with PTA on sort of developing a closer working partnership where we can share resources, share information, share training opportunities, et cetera. So that was another thing. We discussed the coordinated use of using our managed lands for training that supports our stewardship activities. As an example, with their capabilities, the military's capabilities to do high altitude helicopter training, that could be used to support some of our debris removal efforts, especially remote areas of our lands. We discussed establishing a water source in the saddle area that could serve PTA, DHHL, DLNR, UH, and the county. Because that's a huge need up there. And then we also discussed establishing a solar photovoltaic power system that feeds into Helco's system, which could provide backup service to PTA, CMS, DHHL, the county, and the MKOs. And there's a lot of other things that we discussed. One of the things we tried to emphasize was the need for the military to develop more working relationships with their neighboring landowners, which include DLNR, DHHL, the county, and of course us. We really were trying to push that idea in general. I think the meeting was productive for them. We gave them specific ideas that could benefit the Saddle region, neighboring landowners, as well as the community as a whole. They said that they would be following up with us once they pull all of this information they're gathering from the community together. So it turned out that it was not about testimony for an MKMB matter, but it was really just an opportunity or request to meet to talk more broadly about how the military can work with the community on addressing various needs. I don't know who you want to add anything?
I think it was a really good meeting, you know, and it just, we had lots of ideas, which I think some of those ideas they never thought of. The water being one of those, and then having a community center for all of the cultural items, possibly for both us and PTA at the Mauna Kea State Park as a visitor center. That was a really cool idea as well. And I think they really appreciated that. So they got a lot more ideas from us than I think they expected to get. And we also took an opportunity to talk about our debris on Mauna Kea that is from the Army, I mean, from the military, not necessarily the Army, including the plane crash and the drones. So that was really good.
I think a lot of these things, Bill, would be things I think MK Soul could follow up on.
Sure.
And they probably have other ideas as well.
I just looking through, they're not a partner in the Mauna Kea Watershed Alliance.
PTA?
Yeah.
Good.
They're not, but yeah,
Good.
another
Yeah.
potential nexus.
Yeah. Okay, that concludes my executive director's report, Roberta. Sorry, it took a little bit longer.
No problem. I think the next agenda item is Justin Yee's invasive species report.
I just want to jump on really quick. I wanted to let Walter know you don't have to stay on if you don't want to. You can drop off. We appreciate you taking the time to stay on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, how's it, everyone? Can you hear me good?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. All right. Thanks for you guys' time. Let me just pull up my presentation here. So every year we apply for a annual permit from scientific permit from DLR to monitor all the arthropods on Mauna Kea. So I just wanted to go over part of all the work that we do up here. Me and my team does. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Early detection monitoring. So we have a few different types of arthropod monitoring surveys that we do, and so part of them are early detection. So we usually do deliveries and equipment, facilities surveys, and then rotating panel surveys, and then annual alien invertebrate monitoring. So I'll go over those here. So the first one is delivery and equipment inspections. During 2024, we did about 279 inspections of equipment and vehicles through the help of BISC and SWCA. This is a major increase because of the decommissionings and the deconstruction activity on the mountain during that period. As you can see, CSO had 184 and then Hopukea had about 24, which Hopukea didn't really have any for the last, I want to say 9 years, since 2016 when they said they were going to decommission. So it's a big increase for them. And then we did our facility surveys. So each quarter we go out to each facility and we place traps among them. So in total we placed about 310 facility traps in each observatory up on the summit. We didn't find any new threats, was a good thing. This is mainly just an early detection type of thing so that anything that we miss in inspections on deliveries, or if anything comes up with the public through visitation from tourists or general public, that if they get into the observatories, that we can catch them sooner rather than later and use eradication efforts and respond to them quickly. And then we did a rotating panel surveys. So during those surveys, we're usually going out with the ARC monitoring program. So We did about 107 surveys in 2024. We placed 428 vials, and then we found 55 specimens, all of which were previously identified arthropods on the mountain and not due to be a threat. And then, of course, we have our annual alien invertebrate monitoring. We do that alongside the VeccuBug monitoring program that we do. And then we haven't found too much stuff there, but in total we do 222 trap sets. But we had a lot of bugs along that area. So I'll go into that a little bit more. In 2024, we caught 8,980 individuals, most of them in the order of Hymenoptera or seed bugs. This would be a Nicaea species. And then we also had a lot of flies or dipteras, a few wolf spiders and spiders, and then some of the wasps and Hymenoptera, and then 1% of beetles. And then we also do our native and established species monitoring. So this includes our annual VeccuBug monitoring program, our rapid response protocols, and then ant controls and vespid controls, and also vegetation control. So our annual VeccuBug monitoring program, we set 85 traps at the same 12 sites as the alien traps. These are baited pitfall traps. They're just a cup with tuna, water, and some substrate in there to create like a little home for the VeccuBug. And then in total, we caught about 3,212 bugs in 2024, or VeccuBugs. The majority happening near Subaru on Pu'uhauoki and Keck. And then also 617 along the slopes of the Pueblo, or that saddle area that you drive through up on the summit. And then 600 at Pu'uvecchio, and then 183 at Pu'uhaukea. Yeah. And then I just want to highlight a Vecchio abundance over time. So since 2007, we've been surveying the mountain, ONCAM and CMS, and actually in 2023, one of our lowest years, we had about 104, I believe. But then this year, the numbers bounced back real high. So it maintains that the population is stable. And then the ratio of life stages that we find are pretty equivalent to previous years. So that means that they're repopulating and propagating on a good trajectory. And then in our rapid response, we found Cardiocondyla kagutsuchi and then some white-footed ants on Mauna Kea. And so when we detect threat species like ants, we employ our rapid response procedures to eliminate or control their populations. And for each observed threat, we are manually removed using pesticides and then go through extensive surveys to ensure that they haven't made it out into the environment, or that we're controlling a population to a certain area and then working our way down and decreasing that area. And so we usually do that through the use of Telstar, a mix of granular bait, max force complete, and then we control areas in parking lots mainly because of the way that the products that we use are specified according to law and their label. But after we usually treat, we see a very steep decline in the ant populations up there, and we don't catch them in our surveys. And then it's usually pretty seasonal. So whenever we see an increase in population, we usually control, especially for Cardiococcosuchi. It's been up there since 2015 prior to my start date. And then we do VESPIT control. In 2024, there was complaints from Viz staff and the public about wasp or bee stings. So we deployed, I believe, six Y traps or wasp, Hymenoptera, and yellow jacket traps. And we caught about 829 yellow jackets in them and disposed of them, help decrease the populations up there. But we have bycatch in those types of traps, particularly Lepidoptera or the some of the native moths. So we try to limit this deployment of these types of traps to when populations are very high. So we're not getting bycatch that we are not trying to get during that period. And then through vegetation control, and our volunteer weed pools and CMS ranger staff, we removed about 13,400 pounds of invasive weeds. And then we worked with a total about 478 volunteers. And they logged about 717 hours for us. So without all their help, we can't get everything that we need to do done. And then, of course, I just want to thank Cynthia King and then Jamie Matsunaga for the permits for the work, and then our biological inspectors, Darcy Yoga, Jade Miyashiro, Jimmy Parker, and then Kobe Young from BISC. Also PCSI and accompanying us with our site surveys, and then our Pipes intern Taylor Jenkins, who helped do a lot of the work out there, and then all our other help with the field work, our rangers, Joy Atsuno, Kaleo, and then the authors of our Maunakea invasive species management plan that help guide our work. Yep. And then I didn't make this presentation. I just got asked to present it, but Taylor, Warner, and Maunakea Robbins, they're my right and left hand, so they help me with everything over here. Any questions or anything like that?
Justin, can you talk about the bee infestation we had inside the dorms that you guys also took care of?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, so we had a honeybee hive infest one of our dorms in the attic spaces. One of our former Kupu member, she found the nest entrance, and so working with Department of Agriculture too, and Stacy Chun from Department of Ag, he came up and helped us remove the nest. Uh, through the we just poisoned them because of the construction costs it would have taken to try and remove the hive, and the safety of our people staying at the dorms up there. We didn't want anybody to get stung right away, so kind of had to act quickly. But this past year we set out 6 hive traps and we caught 2 hives, and then we had this beekeeper come up and remove the hives from the trees. So since that attic incident, we kind of been in the spring when it starts to warm up and the bees get more active, we start to deploy our traps so that we can try to catch them before they make house in our house. All right. Any other questions?
Or comment?
Well, thank you, Justin. Really appreciate.
Andy has a comment.
Oh,
Has it really been a year since we saw the last of these reports? I remember.
The last one?
Oh, yeah, the last report.
The last report?
Yeah, I remember being really impressed by that. I'm really impressed by this. It's a great effort, nice report. When does it become final?
Justin just completed this report, right?
Yeah, I think if you guys don't have any comments or reviews on the draft, then we'll probably submit it to DLNR and post it on our website for final publication.
great.
Justin, I was talking to Anu today. She said one of the things that you folks were surprised that you actually found vacuum bugs in some of the facilities
Yeah,
this year.
yeah, we do find that. I think they're trying to eat the dead bugs in there, and I think when there's a surplus, some of these observatories are built right on critical habitat for them, so it makes sense that they would move into their building. So, they're just making use of the space.
Yeah, I think she said Subaru, and they were on the third floor of Canada, France as well.
Wow.
Like
Yeah, that one surprised me. The third floor of Canada, France.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
just funny.
maybe blown up there. I don't know. They don't fly, so um, probably maybe they got blown up there.
Yeah. Right.
All
Any
right.
other questions for
Any other
Justin?
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
Thanks,
Appreciate.
Justin. You don't have to stay on either. You can drop off if you need to.
By the way, Justin is a new father, like brand new father.
Like a month in.
Yeah, yeah.
He's gone, he's
Yeah,
already
thank you,
asleep.
Greg. He's about a month old, so I gotta get back to my daddy duties. But thanks for your guys' time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
the invitation.
Okay, so next on the agenda, executive session.
Yeah, Chair, I would like to make a motion that the board move into executive session to consult with our attorney on questions and issues pertaining to our powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities pursuant to 92.5A4.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Diana. A motion and a second to move into executive session. All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Unanimous. So we will now move into executive session and after we're done with executive session. So see you later.
Thanks, Bill.
Yep. See you
Will
tomorrow.
you be up there tomorrow? Okay. See you up there.
Thanks, everybody.
So do we have to log into executive session, or are you gonna be able to pull us out of there?
That's a great question, I'm not sure.
Okay. I'll log in just in case.
I'm also